Everyone. Oh, turn off the fan. Oh, hey everyone. So today I wanted to talk about an issue which I've been seeing a lot of on the internet at the moment, just being spoken about. So depending on where you are in the world, you may or may not know that here in the UK we have just got a new Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Theresa May MP. She was the Home Secretary for the last 6 years, and now she's the Prime Minister. She's our second ever female Prime Minister, and which is pretty cool. And notwithstanding any issues that one may have about how she became Prime Minister, if you're unaware of how it works, just TLDR is that there were two candidates in competition for the Conservative Party leadership, Andrea Leadsom and Theresa May, and Andrea Leadsom pulled out, and so by default Theresa May became the Conservative Party leader and thus the Prime Minister. And a lot of people have an issue with that because she wasn't properly elected, she just got it by kind of process of elimination. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Regardless of whether or not you agree with that way that she became Prime Minister, there is another issue at hand. I've been seeing a lot of people, particularly left-wing women, on the internet say that having a female Prime Minister is not a feminist victory unless the Prime Minister is a feminist. Now, firstly, I'd like to say that Theresa May openly identifies as a feminist. And this could go into a whole other discussion in its own right, because feminism can take many different forms. I think we're all familiar with the type of feminism you see on Tumblr, where it's, well, I don't think I really need to go into detail because everyone knows what that is. But the point is, everybody's idea of feminism is different, and the basis is the core belief that not in sex segregation or discrimination on the basis of sex. That is the basis of feminism. That is what feminism literally means, and whatever peripheral views you take as a result of your way of believing in feminism is down to you. So turning around and saying Theresa May can't call herself a feminist because of this or whatever, like, shut the fuck up. She can call herself a feminist as long as she believes that there should be no discrimination based on sex. And a huge difference between the right wing and the left wing, in general, this isn't a given. There are plenty of exceptions, but just as a general thing, a big difference is the right wing believe in equality of opportunity and the left wing believe in equality of outcome. And that can cause a lot of people to kind of dispute whether or not someone actually believes in equality, because if they believe in equality of and the other person believes in equality of other then that can cause some kind of, issues with regards to how people perceive that person's views. So my first sort of response to that is, she calls herself a feminist. Just because her feminism might take a different form to yours doesn't mean she's any less of a feminist, and you need to shut up. Believing that your views are, I don't even fucking know. The fact is, the woman believes that men and women are equal, okay? That's the important part. Secondly, a female Prime Minister does not have to be a feminist in order for it to be a feminist victory. Now, I do understand the argument. The argument is, oh, but if she's not a feminist, then she's not putting through feminist legislation, or she's not enacting feminism, and therefore her, as a direct result of her being in power, it's not going to help the feminist cause. No. Okay, firstly, if you're in a country like the UK or America or whatever, a lot of first world countries, it is illegal to discriminate on the basis of sex. So even if somebody who is not feminist started trying to push through these laws that were anti-feminist, then that's legal, action would be taken, they wouldn't go through, so you can chill your fucking pill, okay? The second thing is, feminism, at least in my opinion, feel free to disagree, but feminism is about allowing women, or part of feminism is about allowing women the freedom to their own opinion, and understanding that they are also people, individual and unique, and are perfectly entitled to their own opinion. And just because some woman's opinion is not the same as your opinion doesn't mean it's anti-feminist. You know, that's the thing. And so turning around and saying, I don't agree with Theresa May on X, Y, and Z issue, and I'm a feminist, therefore she's not, like, I just think it's really stupid. I think it's fundamentally anti-feminist to say that a woman acting on her own beliefs is anti-feminist. Because, like, it's not. It's not. It's a feminist victory because there's a woman in power. That's what makes it a feminist victory, because the whole point is it proves that you don't have to be a man to be in power. You don't have to do this. The way, regardless of the fact that she became prime minister because somebody else dropped out, like, the final two candidates were women. You know, equality of opportunity, that is the important fucking part. There are two women who were the final candidates in the Conservative leadership bid. And they weren't looked at differently because they were women, and they're not, you know, whatever. And that is the feminist victory. That is a feminist victory, and the fact is we have a woman who is entitled to her own beliefs, who is entitled and free to run the country as she wishes, within whatever limits. She is allowed to believe what she wants, and she's running one of the richest countries in the world. Fuck you, Eurostar. That is a feminist victory. That is fundamentally feminist, is allowing a woman to her own beliefs. Turning around and saying you're a woman, therefore you have to abide by this belief, is anti-feminist. So turning around and saying I don't like, or not even I don't like Theresa May, but saying her being in power is anti-feminist, or her, because she disagrees with something with me, like I don't fundamentally agree with her, therefore it's anti-feminist. You are telling a woman, you're telling the woman in charge of this country that unless she agrees with you, she's not a feminist. That is anti-feminist. You know, how many male leaders have you put that on? How many male leaders of this country have you turned around and said, oh, he doesn't fundamentally agree with me, therefore... No! She's entitled to her opinion, she's entitled to her beliefs, regardless of whether or not you agree with them! This is just something that's really been pissing me off recently, because I feel like there are a lot of, obviously as a young person I know a lot of young women who support Labour, which is fine, or just not even necessarily like partisan politics, they're left wing, and there are a lot of people who don't like the fact that our only two female prime ministers have been Conservatives. And there are people who don't like the fact that she's right wing, or there are people who don't like the fact that she's a woman and she's right wing, or whatever. But I don't think that's an excuse to put down your own cause. Put aside your own personal opinion for once, and just, or your own politics for once, and just think, after what, 30 years? 1990 was when Margaret Thatcher stopped being Prime Minister. So after 26 years, we have another female Prime Minister, and that's fucking awesome, regardless of what party you agree with. And it is a feminist victory, and trying to shut her down, and almost like completely ignoring the fact that she is a woman because you don't necessarily like her politics, and therefore you don't want to admit that it's great that she's a woman because you don't like her. Like, I find it very odd, because if there were a female prime minister from the left wing, or from, like, I don't know, the fucking Green Party or whoever, like some far left party, I would still be like, that's awesome, there's a female prime minister, despite the fact that I wouldn't fundamentally agree with their politics. And that's the great thing, is celebrating the fact that women have the freedom to their own opinions, and to act on those opinions. And that is feminism. And so regardless of whether or not you agree with Theresa May, her being in power is a feminist victory. I think if you turn around and say that it's not a feminist victory, then you're in denial. Because the fact is we have a woman in power for the second time ever. You know, like the entire, let's say Hillary Clinton becomes the next president of the USA, we have so much of the world's power held by women. So our monarch, our reigning monarch, Queen Elizabeth, she's a woman, and she's not only for the UK, she's for Canada, she's for Australia, she's for like a million other countries. Then we have Theresa May, there's Angela Merkel, there'd be Hillary Clinton, there's just so many powerful women in the world right now, and that's a really good thing. And we should be celebrating the fact that they are welcome to their own politics and their own opinions. And if you turn around and say that these women are not true feminists or are not true representations of women because they don't share politics with you, that's anti-feminist. That's putting women in boxes that you think they should be in. And maybe you should have a think about that. Anyway, that's my little rant. It's been bugging me. I'll speak to you guys. I'm gonna try and upload on my second channel every week, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. Goodbye.